Maclean's magazine recently conducted a study that found that the City of Burnaby was the best-run city in Canada. The cities were rated on several different criteria, one of which was environmental health. In the 1970s, Burnaby decided to begin protecting its salmon streams from construction. And what remains is one of the Lower Mainland's hidden gems. Linda Aylesworth takes us on a tour down Burnaby's Still Creek.
We're actually on the border of Vancouver and Burnaby, and we're heading down to Still Creek in front of us, which is an incredible little waterway.
And yet, in spite of the fact that thousands of people pass by and over Still Creek every day, few are aware of its existence.
It's a place that also has some great values, but it's also a stream that has some real problems.
Problems like the lack of a natural shoreline.
These concrete barriers are not good for fish. They're not like what you would have in a natural environment where you would have rocks and streamside vegetation and little bits of off-channel habitat where fish could find refuge.
But that is the least of Still Creek's problems.
Well, this is the beginning of the upper part of the creek that's been culverted and paved over. And unfortunately, that's a fate that hit pretty much all the salmon streams that once existed in Vancouver. A century ago, there were probably more than 50 salmon-bearing streams in Vancouver. Now they are virtually all lost, and they run under sidewalks and streets.
The only things that seem to survive inside are spiders. Algae doesn't even grow here.
Here, there's nothing. It's literally a dead zone. And literally, there are hundreds of kilometers of culverted streams that have been lost like this that flow into the streets of Vancouver.
Really? Hundreds?
Hundreds.
But once you hit daylight, Still Creek is alive, even here where the banks have been compromised.
We'll have to get people in life jackets.
And especially here, a little ways downstream, even if it is in the middle of Burnaby.
Sometimes it's very hard-pressed to feel like you're actually in an urban city.
There were once plans to pave over this part of Still Creek too. But in the early 70s, with a third of its streams already lost, Burnaby got smart and passed a bylaw preventing the paving over of streams while also protecting the dwindling green spaces or riparian areas that run along them.
Many of the businesses that are developing in this area are asked to maintain a certain component of the stream corridor or the riparian areas and to do enhancements to those riparian areas as public and community spaces.
But as we pass through the industrial park, we can see that not all businesses are giving Still Creek its space.
But there's quite a bit of industrial development along this particular stretch, so this is one of those challenges that we still have to deal with.
But we can't dump all the blame on industry.
Do people just not get it that this is a living creek?
I think there are some people who don't get that still. You know, I think a lot of people, we are seeing a greater appreciation and greater awareness, but obviously the fact that this still occurs is an indication that there are still people out there that don't fully appreciate the significance of a waterway like this.
Years of neglect pretty well wiped out Still Creek's many species of salmon, trout, and steelhead. But thanks to our growing awareness and appreciation, things are looking up.
You know, we're getting some of those species coming back now as well, too. Not near in the numbers that they used to be, but they are starting to return.
Yeah, and this is one of the beaver dams on the stream, and you can see the difference in elevation. You know, we're literally perhaps 2.5 feet higher.
It's a healthy sign, good for the creek and the creatures that depend on it. As we approach the end of our expedition in the Burnaby Lake Nature Park, we see what Still Creek would have looked like before humans started to mess things up. What any urban creek can look like if there's the will to make it so.
This is my favorite part in Burnaby. I think it really highlights the fact that you can never give up on any waterway.